Hi, YouTube.
All right, cool. It's off center. Cool. That works. Okay. I'm gonna read the scene in, and then we will start. And I will stop you when I want to stop you. I think we're gonna stop at Steve's entrance. Or no, we'll have to start.
We're not live on mine. I'm looking at Twitch.
Refresh it.
I did.
Refresh it.
I did.
We're live for Mark.
For me, it says starting soon.
It's just not live in Boise.
Oh, it might be some sort of delay.
You're live for me.
Okay. So we'll go to about right before Petra enters. Yeah, which is Billings exit. So we'll go until Billings exit, and then I believe bring Petra in.
Amazing.
Okay. The editorial office of the People's Messenger. The entrance door is on the left-hand side of the back wall. On the right-hand side is another door with glass panels through which the printing room can be seen. Another door in the right-hand wall. Another door in the right-hand wall. That's correct. In the middle of the room is a large table covered with papers, newspapers, and books. In the foreground, on the left, a window, before which stand a desk and a high stool. There are a couple of easy chairs by the table and other chairs standing along the wall. The room is dingy and uncomfortable. The furniture is old, the chairs stained and torn. In the printing room, the compositors are seen at work, and a printer is working a hand press. Hofstad is sitting at the desk, writing. Billing comes in from the right with Dr. Stuckman's manuscript in his hand.
Well, I must say.
Have you read it through?
Yes, indeed I have.
Don't you think the doctor hits them pretty hard?
Hard. Bless my soul. He's rushing. Every word falls like, how should I put it? Like a blow of a sledgehammer.
Yes, but they are not the people to throw up the sponge at the first blow.
That is true, and for that reason, we must strike blow upon blow until the whole of this aristocracy tumbles to pieces. As I sat in there reading this, I almost seemed to see a revolution in being.
Hush. Speak so Ashwauxton cannot hear you.
Ruskin is a chicken-hearted chap, a coward. There's nothing of a man in him. But this time you will insist on your way, won't you? You put the doctor's article in?
Yes, and if the mayor doesn't like it, well then he can very
Then
well...
the devil is a nuisance.
Well, fortunately we can turn the situation to a good account, whatever happens. If the mayor will not fall in line with the doctor's project, he will have all the small tradesmen down on him, the whole of the Householders Association and the rest of it. And if he does fall in with it, he will fall out of the whole crowd with large shareholders in the Bass, who up to now have been his most valuable supporters.
Because you have to fork out a pretty penny.
Yes, you may be sure they will. And in this way, the ring will be broken up, you see? And then in every issue of the paper, we will enlighten the public on the mayor's incapability on one point and another, and make it clear that all the positions of trust in the town, the whole control of municipal affairs, ought to be put in the hands of the liberals.
Perfectly true. I see it coming. I see it coming. We are on the threshold of a revolution.
Hush. Come in. Ah, it is you, Doctor.
You may set to work and print it, Mr. Hofstad.
But has it come to that then?
Yes, print away. Undoubtedly it has come to that. Now they must take what they get. There's going to be a fight in the town, Mr. Billing.
War to the knife, I hope. We will get our knives to the throats, Doctor.
And this article is only the beginning. I've already got 4 or 5 more sketched out in my head. Where's Ashwauxton?
Ashwauxton, come in here for a minute.
4 or 5 articles, did you say, on the same subject?
No, far from it, my dear fellow. No, they are about quite another matter. But they all spring from the question of the water supply and the drainage. One thing leads to another, you know? It is like beginning to pull down an old house, exactly.
Oh, So it's true. You find you are not done until you have pulled out all the old rubbish down.
Pull down? You're not thinking of pulling down the bath, surely, Doctor?
Far from it. Don't be afraid.
No, we meant something quite different. Well, what do you think of my article, Mr. Hofstad?
I think it is simply a masterpiece.
Do you really think so? Well, I am very pleased, very pleased.
It is so clear and intelligible. One need have no special knowledge to understand the bearing of it. You will have every enlightened man on your side.
And every prudent man, too, I hope.
The prudent and prudent.
In that case, we may venture to print it.
Well, I should think so.
We will put it in tomorrow morning.
Of course, you must not lose a single day. What I want to ask you, Mr. Schlockson, was if you would what I wanted to ask you, Mr. Schlockson, was if you would supervise the printing of it yourself.
With pleasure.
Take care of it as if it were a treasure. No misprints. Every word is important. I will look in again. I will look in again a little later, perhaps. You will be able to let me see a proof. I can't tell you how eager I am to see it print and see it burst upon the public.
Of them. Go flash of lightning.
And to have it submitted to the judgment of my intelligent fellow townsmen. You cannot imagine what I have gone through today. I have been threatened first with one thing and then another. They have tried to rob me of my most elementary rights as a man.
Man.
They have tried to degrade me, to make a coward of me, to force me to put my personal interests before my most sacred convictions.
That is too much. I'm damned if it isn't.
Oh, you mustn't be surprised at anything from that quarter.
Well, they will get the worst of it with me. They may assure themselves of that. I shall consider the people's messenger my sheet anchor now. And every single day I will bombard them with one article after another, like bombshells.
Yes, but,
Or it is war!
I shall smite them to the ground. I shall crush them. I shall break down all their defenses before the eyes of the honest public. That is what I shall do.
yes, but in moderation, Doctor. Proceed with moderation.
Oh, not a bit of it. A bit of it. Don't spare
Because-
the dynamite.
Because it is not merely a question of water supply and drains now, you know. No, it is the whole of our social life that we have got to purify and disinfect.
Spoke like a deliverer.
All the incapables must be turned out, you understand? And that in every walk of life. Endless vistas have opened themselves to my mind's eyes today. I cannot see it all quite clearly yet, but I shall in time. Young and vigorous standard bearers, those are what we need and must seek, my friends. We must have new men in the commands at all our outposts.
Here.
We only need to stand by one another, and it will all be perfectly easy. The revolution will be launched like a ship that runs smoothly off the stocks. Don't you think so?
For my part, I think we now have a prospect of getting the municipal authority into the hands where it should lie.
And if we only proceed with moderation, I cannot imagine that there will be any risk.
Who the devil cares of whether there is risk or not? What I am doing in the name of truth and for the sake of my conscience.
You are a man who deserves to be supported, Doctor.
Yes, there is no denying that the Doctor is a true friend to the town, a real friend to the community, that he is.
Take order, Schlockson. Dr. Stockman is a friend of the people.
I fancy the Householders Association will make use of that expression before long.
Thank you. Thank you, my dear staunch friends. It is very refreshing to me to hear you say that. My brother called me something quite different. By Jove, he shall have it back with interest. But now, I must be off to see a poor devil. I will come back, as I said. Keep a very careful eye on the manuscript, Schlockson, and don't for worlds leave out any of my notes or exclamation. Rather, put one or two more in. Capital! Capital! Very well. Goodbye for the present. Goodbye. Goodbye.
He may prove an invaluably useful man for us.
Yes, so long as he confines himself to this matter of the baths. But if he goes farther afield, I don't think it would be advisable to follow him.
You know, that all depends.
You are so infernally timid, Islotson!
Timid? Yes, when it is a question of the local authorities, I am timid, Mr. Billing. It is a lesson I have learned in the school of experience, let me tell you. But try me in higher politics in matters that concern the government itself, and then you see if I am timid.
No, you aren't, I admit. But this is simply contradicting yourself.
I am a man with a conscience, and that is the whole matter. If you attack the government, you don't do the community any harm anyway. Those fellows pay no attention to attacks, you see. They go on just as they are, in spite of them. But local authorities are different. They can be turned out, and then perhaps you may get an ignorant lot into office who may do irreparable harm to the householders and everybody else.
But what of the education of citizens by self-government? Don't you attach any importance to that?
When a man has interests of his own to protect, he cannot think of everything, Mr. Hofstadt.
Then I hope I shall never have interests of my own to protect.
Hear, hear!
Mr. Sheriff Stensgaard was your predecessor at that editorial desk.
Bah! Well, that turncoat.
I am not a weathercock. And never will be.
A politician should never be too certain of anything, Mr. Hofstad. And as for you, Mr. Billing, I should think it is time for you to be taking in a reef or two in your sails, seeing that you are applying for the post of secretary to the bench.
I'm not really. That's not something I
you?
can't be anything. Well, yes, but you must certainly understand that I am only doing it to annoy the bigwigs.
Anyhow, it's no business of mine. But if I am to be accused of timidity and of inconsistency in my principles, this is what I want to point out. My political past is an open book. I have never changed, except perhaps to become a little more moderate, you see. My heart is still with the people. But I don't deny that my reason has a certain bias towards the authorities. The local ones, I mean.
You try to get rid of him, Hofstad?
Do you know anyone else who will advance the money for our paper imprinting?
It is an infernal nuisance that we don't possess some capital to trade on.
Yes, if we only had that, then...
Well, suppose you were to apply to Dr. Stockman.
What is the use? He has got nothing.
No, but he has got a warm man in the background, an old Morton Keel, the Butcher as they call him.
Are you so sure that he has got anything?
Good Lord, of course he has. And some of it must come to the Stockmans. Most probably he will do something for the children at all events.
Are you counting on that?
Counting on it? Of course I'm not counting on anything.
Well, that is right. And I should not count on the secretaryship to the bench either if I were you. For I can assure you, you won't get it.
Do you think I'm not quite aware of that? My object is precisely not to get it. Slide of that kind stimulates a man's fighting power. It is like getting a supply of fresh bile. And I am sure one needs that badly enough in a corner place like this, where so seldom anything happens to stir one up.
Quite so, quite so.
I shall be heard of yet. Now I shall go and write the appeal to the Householders Association.
Okay, thank you.
Is it?
Sorry, Steve and Sabrina, we're running a little behind. We had some technical difficulties earlier.
My
No worries.
computer kept crashing.
Everything is good. We're all good.
Okay, got a couple of notes.
After
Billing.
Yes, sir.
When you call, I think overall, this scene was reading really like schemy and plotty, and I don't feel that in this scene from my reading. I think it's much more like this kind of this funny scene. There's a comedy here where they're not these like plotters. There's these two chuckle fucks who are just they're like, oh, we're gonna start a revolution. Don't you hear it? Like, oh, it's coming. And it's not so much of like, ooh, he could be useful to us. To Hofstad, that line's more like, he could be useful, don't you think? And Hofstad's like, yeah, probably. If he, doesn't fly afoul. But I'll get into like the more of the specifics of what I want there in that. But I think we can find like comedy here. And find some nice moments for that. I like your energy, James, with billing. It's good. It's a lot closer to what I'm thinking for the scene. We're going to have to work some tech with you. I think we may have to try and work with disabling Discord's noise gating, because you get cut off a lot because you start so high energy. So we're going to have to do some figuring out to try and get that smoothed out so that we can hear you.
Got it.
But I like it, and that's what I want. We're just going to have to figure out how to make it work technically.
Cool. Well, damn.
But, yeah, the chicken-hearted chap, that's the line specifically is the first one I have here. So that one is more like, Eschloxen's a chicken-hearted chap. He's got nothing of a man in him. He's got nothing. I'm not worried about him. You're just like, and that goes to like, yeah, and the mayor doesn't like it, and specifically even this exchange, where you say, oh, you gotta put this article in, and Hofstad's like, yeah, and if the mayor doesn't like it, you're like, that'll suck. That's gonna be a devil of a nuisance if he doesn't get in. And that's like this beer like, oh, you're gonna do this, do this, and you're like, no, that'd be terrible. And it's a break in the energy. I want you guys during the scene to just in the back of your head be thinking, do you hear the people singing the songs of air?
I have that. That's where I'm getting my energy from.
Yeah.
Like,
So
revolution.
both of you are just like, you're gonna come in. Oh, you got this energy. And even Hofstad is very like, oh, I feel this revolution coming. Oh, do you feel this revolution coming? You're a little more serious about it, but you're still both just like, oh, we're gonna turn this city over to the liberals. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. But I want you to have this like exuberance to where it really feels like, much like the revolution in Les Mis, where it's just all these students who don't really know what they're doing, and it turns out about as well as this one's going to, for them. Do I have a specific... I feel like I had a specific line. But I want you both to really kind of build that excitement. And Mitchell as well. I want you to have that same... You all to get caught up in this energy where you're all feeding off each other. Where you just kind of bust in and you're like, you can set to work and print it, Hofstad.
It's time!
Yeah,
Let's
it's time!
do this!
And Billy just like, ah! With us, like, yeah! To the knife! We're gonna go to the knife!
Do it, yeah!
Yeah. It's like, oh, we're gonna put their knives, and it's this big, like, oh! Sorry, I'm probably, like, blowing the mic out. But
Just a little bit.
Sorry. I definitely, that's the energy I want. He's just like, we're gonna do it, and everyone's like, yeah! Revolution!
And then
Revolutionary
the noise gating.
Yeah, we'll work on the noise gating and see if we can fix that and make that work. So I think that like is the encapsulation of just like that line. That's what I want the energy to be. Mitchell bursts in. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's time. It's time to.
It
do
is
this.
time. I feel like okay. This is one of my infamous questions that I want to know. Got that. Billing. Do you think Billing? I have an opinion, but I want to know what you guys think. Do you think Billing really wants that position that he applied for?
Yes, I think he does want it, but he has to play it all cool, like he doesn't want it.
Yeah. My personal thing, like, I think the carryover. I feel like Billing is kind of a man on the wind. I feel like he just kind of, in not a sycophantic way, but I think he just agrees with whoever he's talking to.
He's a real instigator.
I don't even think it's that. I think he just whoever. I think it's the opposite, where he'll take whatever's being put at him and be like, yeah, yeah. Like with Schlockson, where you're like, you're so timid. He's like, no, I'm not. And you're like, no, you're not. You're right, you're not. What was I thinking? And just Peter's like, revolution. You're like, revolution to the knife, and he's like, yeah, to the knife. And you're like, Schlockson says, oh, you're applying for this position, and you're like, and then Hofstad's like, are you? And you realize like, oh, he doesn't like that, and you're like, no, no. You know? And I think that carries into Act 4 as well, where Billing is kind of like, it's like, oh, everything he says is a response to whatever the person's opinion was before him. Where like the people are like, oh, do you think he didn't have a job? He's like, oh, well, there's always beer. Does he drink? You're like, oh, there's always beer there at his table. And then you're kind of just like on the wind, change with the wind. Which I think is a good commentary on people there very much are people like that, especially politically. But that's my read of it.
He's just so happy to be here.
Yeah, it feels to me like it doesn't seem like a sycophantic thing to me. Like he doesn't seem like malicious about it. He's just like, I'm just, whatever people want from me is what I'll do. But that's my read on that, and that's all I have for that little chunk. Does anybody else have anything?
I had a question.
Yeah.
This is just like a small thing, but I wanted to make sure. I just wanted to talk about it because before I leave, I talk about going off to see a poor devil, and I assume it's Morton Keel, but I don't know. I don't ever mention having seen anybody when I come back or later on.
Yeah,
You're a doctor, right?
Where did it go? My dear son, back. Now I must see off to see a poor devil. I come back. Yeah, it might be a patient.
Yeah, that's true. It's just I know I literally wrote down as like, who is this poor devil? Unfortunate writing is just a way to get him out of the room, essentially.
I think it's just a way to get him out of the room.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I figured.
It's
Maybe
like
you have to go to the bathroom.
yeah, gotta see a man about a horse.
About a poor devil.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is, I couldn't figure it out. I wasn't thinking about it.
So I just wondered what your ideas were, and I'll just put in whatever is necessary.
I think I agree with that. I think it's just a way to get you out of the room. You have to go see a patient. You still have a job to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I do have my. So if that, you know what? If this is the morning, all this is happening in the morning, I do have my morning appointments with my patients.
Yeah.
So, therefore, it must be a patient.
Yep. Good call, Austin. That's probably what it is. Good catch. Okay. Anyone else? We're gonna try to move really quickly and catch up. Okay. Cool. Let's move along. Petra.
Hi.
I'm just looking to make sure I'm on the right. Cool. Okay, I'm ready. Whenever I'll read the. Well, actually, no. It'll just be Hofstad starting. So.
Where are we going from?
From Hofstad's line, come in.
Come in. What? Oh. Here.
Yes, you must forgive me.
Won't you sit down?
No, thank you. I must go again in a moment.
Have you come with a message from your father by any chance?
No, I've come on my own accord. Here's the English story.
Why have you brought it back?
Because I am not going to translate it.
But you promised me, faithfully.
Yes, but then I had not read it. I don't suppose you have read it either.
No. You know quite well that I don't understand English. But,
Quite so. That is why I wanted to tell you that you must find something else. You can't use this for the People's Messenger.
why not?
Because it conflicts with all your opinions.
Well, well, for that matter,
You don't understand. The burden of this story is that there's a supernatural power that looks after the so-called good people in this world and makes everything happen for the best in their case, while all the so-called bad people are punished.
well, but that is all right. That is just what our readers want.
And are you going to be the one to give it to them? For myself, I do not believe a word of it. You know quite well that things do not happen so in reality.
You are perfectly right. But an editor cannot always act as he would prefer. He is often obliged to bow to the wishes in unimportant matters. Politics are the most important thing in life. Well, for a newspaper, anyway. And if I want to carry my public with me on the path that leads to liberty and progress, not frighten them away. If they find a moral tale of this sort in the serial at the bottom of the page, they will be all the more ready to read what is printed above it. They'll feel more secure, as it were.
For shame. You would never go and set a snare like that for your readers. We're not a spider.
Well, thank you for having such a good opinion of me. No, as a matter of fact, that is Billings' idea and not mine.
Billings?
Whoa. I'm sorry. I'm out of order. Yes! Anyway, he propounded that the theory here one day, and it is Billing who is so anxious to have that story in the paper. I don't know anything about the book.
But how can Billing, with his emancipated views...
Oh, Billing is a many-sided man. He's applying for the post of secretary to the bench too, I hear.
I don't believe it, Mr. Hofstede. How could he possibly bring himself to do such a thing?
Ah, you must ask him that.
I should never have thought it of him.
No. Does it really surprise you much?
Yes. Or perhaps not altogether. Really, I don't quite know.
Well, we journalists are not much worth, Miss Stockman.
Do you really mean that?
I think so, sometimes.
Yes. In the ordinary affairs of everyday life, perhaps I can understand that. But now, when you have taken a weighty matter in hand...
Matter of your father's, you mean?
Exactly. It seems to me that now you must feel you are a man worth more than most.
Yes. I do feel something of that sort.
Of course you do, don't you? It is a splendid vocation you have chosen to smooth the way for the march of the unappreciated truths and new and courageous lines of thought. If it were nothing more than because you stand fearlessly if it were nothing more than because you stand fearlessly in the open and take up the cause of an injured man,
Especially when that injured man is... I don't rightly know how to...
when that man is so upright and honest, you mean?
Especially when he is your father, I meant.
That?
Yes, Petra. Miss Petra.
That is first and foremost with you. Not the matter itself, not the truth. Not my father's big, generous heart?
Certainly. Of course. That too.
No, thank you. You have betrayed yourself, Mr. Hofstede, and now I shall never trust you again in anything.
Can you really take it so amiss in me that it is mistake?
What I am angry with you for is for not having been honest with my father. You talk to him as if the truth and the good of the community were what lay nearest to your heart. You have made fools of both my father and me. You are not the man you've made yourself out to be. And that I shall never forgive you. Never.
You ought to not speak so bitterly, Miss Petra. Least of all now.
Why not now, especially?
Because your father cannot do without my help.
Are you that sort of man too? For shame.
No. No, I am not. This came upon me so unexpectedly. You must believe that.
I know what to believe. Goodbye.
Damnation, Hofstad! Oh, this is awkward.
There's the book. You must give to someone else.
But, Miss Stockman!
Goodbye.
I say, Mr. Hofstad.
Well,
Well, we'll stop there for that scene. Sorry. Actually, I have quite a lot of notes for that. Good. Hofstad, how much does this flirting crush with Petra matter to you as Hofstad?
I'm going back and forth with it because I'm looking for reasons like to support it. It seems like pretty clear that there is kind of something there. But I think it's more. I think ultimately, I don't know if Hofstad is ready right now to admit it, but I think ultimately it is not the most important thing. I think he is more caught up in developing the career first. This is just, it seems to be able to have your cake and eat it too, so running with that.
Yeah. Okay. I have been interested in, with Peter and Thomas, I found a couple of lines, and I think there's kind of a running theme in this play, or maybe I'm just not analyzing it very well, but that everyone kind of has these like moments of sudden like discovery in the middle of their sentences that kind of key into what's going on or something in their character, and I feel like Hofstad has that moment when you're selling billing out. I think actually there's kind of a couple in here for Hofstad, but the billing is a many-sided man. I kind of just like imagine Hofstad leaning on a table, kind of like looking over papers, and he's just like, he's applying for the bench, I hear. It's kind of this Hofstad, and she's just like, really, billing? And you're like, yeah, billing. He's doing that, and it's kind of like, oh, I can just throw him under the bus, and this gets him closer to that. But while you're doing all of this, I have this idea. It really seems to me that Hofstad is closing the emotional distance between himself and Petra like a spider. This whole conversation, you're just getting quieter and closer, and it's getting more and more intimate from you. And maybe she's not at all in that, but definitely Hofstad is. I want to feel this like this, you bringing it in and bringing her closer to you, emotionally. I mean, she says, "You're not a spider," and here you are, creeping, and tying that web and pulling the web. That's what this scene feels like to me. This is a note for Petra, but it might be good for everyone to think about. I wonder if she sees that. The question in this scene is going to be whether she sees him for what he is already, from early on, and starts to goad him into exposing himself, or if she's being earnest through this whole exchange and just sees it at that last minute. I wonder if it's either that or a mix of both, because she does start to kind of change how she talks and is poking at him a little bit, but it could be read either way, I think, and I'm not sure. I'll wait for Shuku to make that decision. But I definitely see her last lines, not as she says, "I am angry with you," but it really reads as just disappointment to me, where she's just like, "Oh, that's what it is. Well, I really had hoped you were on my dad's side, but you're just a philanderer." But also, while you were reading that last line, I really want to punch out this, "You ought not to speak so bitterly, Miss Petra, because your father cannot do without my help." That is the center of the spider's web. That is blackmail. That is quid pro quo. That is like, you shouldn't be so, like I want that to, like, ring out as, like, you shouldn't be mean to me right now. Especially right now. And she's like, why? She's like, because your dad can't do this without my help. You know, like, look at the position you're in because of the implication. You know, like, that is just such a disgusting line. And I want you to find, like, I definitely want that, but I want you to find whether that next line is genuine or more deflection. Where he's like, I don't know where that came from. I'm sorry. Like, whether you're deflecting off her, like, oh, I don't, you gotta believe me. Like, I'm not that kind of man. Or you're genuinely like, I really don't know where that came from. I'm not that kind of man. And I think that question is going to hinge on what I asked you originally, whether you actually care about this or not. Like, if you actually have a crush on her, I can definitely see it being accidental and you not knowing where this came from. Like, you're in the spur of a moment. But if you don't care about her, then, like, this is like a weird, gross rape fantasy where you're like, I have her, and I could just have her now. And I don't think anyone would do that to someone they cared about. Mm-hmm. But if you're just like, oh, here's a moment, I could take it. That's something that you could really pull through there.
That's very interesting.
So I think that's a choice for you to make. And that's just going to hinge on how you feel, what you feel like Hofstad is at his core. Because we know, as we're about to see, that he just flips. And I think all of these things are going to relate to what your reasoning in his flip is. Like, what's his true character? And I think all these other decisions will fall in line with that. And that's all I have for that scene. Does anybody else have any questions? Or thoughts?
Yeah, Petra's a really relatable character.
Yeah. I like Petra a lot.
And I'm not making any decisions for Wachuko, but I felt like sharing, like, she obviously looks up to journalists. Mm-hmm. And being in a position where you're constantly hanging out with people you look up to and, like, respect, and then for something like that to go down.
Yeah. I do wonder, on that note, whether the line about the journalists is a goad, is part of that, maybe she's goading him. Because so the decision would be between, yeah, I really look up to these people, and the disappointment that they're gross and awful. Mm-hmm. Or she's, oh, I bet you think you're really important, don't you? You probably think that you're better than all these people. And why not? Because you're helping these people, like, look at you. Yeah. And Hofstad's like, yeah, I do think that sometimes, And I think that'll be the decision that Wachuku will have to make. Mm-hmm. Yes, What's up?
I feel like she's excited to be talking to somebody on equal terms for once. Like somebody who gets it, because like everybody else in the town, she is either unrelatable to her, or they treat her like a woman, or they treat her like the doctor's daughter, but he's talking to her like a colleague who gets it, at least at the beginning of the scene. Mm-hmm. And when that's cut short, and she's just like, gosh, you're just like everybody else.
Yeah, I think it's the lines about the book that, like, it really is, like, I do believe that you're right. When she shows up, she's like, hey, look, you shouldn't use this book. And then Hofstad's like, no, it's fine. And she's like, oh, no. Great. Like, that might be the point where she starts digging in. But yeah, she totally shows up and is just like, hey, Mr. Hofstad, look, I know I said I'd do it, but I don't think I should. Which really is a pretty good impetus for this scene, I think. Yeah. So there's gonna be some interesting choices that get made in this scene. There's a lot going on emotionally. Okay, anything else? If not, we'll move on.
Real quick, did we come to a consensus on whether it's Hofstad or Hofstad? Because I keep switching it up.
I think I've been flip-flopping. I do like Hofstad. Let's just go with Hofstad.
We've been doing Hofstad this whole time.
Okay.
So Hofstad and Ashlaskan
Eschlockson, yeah.
Hofstad.
Schlosken.
Ishloxen.
Think oxen.
KS.
Schlosken.
ING.
Yes.
Ah, thank you.
It's
Austin.
oxen,
That
and they're
helped me
ashy.
a lot. Yeah.
Ashloxen.
And Stockman or Stockman?
That one's a little more. I don't know, but I guess we'll just
Yeah.
let's just solidify and say Stockman. Let's just
Yeah.
let's get all the
If ever-
SHs in there.
Just zhuzh it up.
Let's just zhuzh it all.
I mean, that's how it. I'm not an expert, but I feel like that's how it's.
well, I mean,
Stockholm.
we looked
I
at
thought you're an expert.
Thank you.
we looked at all the pronunciations for everything, and it was like either or.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
So
just
it's not-
liked Eschlockson more, and I was like, we're going with that. And this is, I guess, the end result of that decision. So we're just gonna follow it through. We're just gonna follow through to its.
We didn't go with the
natural
Japanese pronunciations. With the Japanese pronunciations for Eschlockson, because it was.
In a perfect world where that wouldn't be problematic, I would have tried, but it this isn't really the room for that. This isn't the room that can make that choice.
Kai, your video quality is so nice tonight.
It's the lights. It's hot
Lighting
as
is very
fuck.
important.
I'm sorry, it's so
It is.
It's fine.
You're hot. It's fine. It just looks good. Everyone just looks good.
Thank you. I tried really hard today.
We're all just handsome
Yeah.
people.
Karina's freaking rocking it right now.
Everybody's
I had-
fine.
We're all in full makeup and crushing.
You guys.
I had to work a birthday party today, so I'm full makeup from that. It's not my choice.
Nice.
I popped in after a full day of work. Immediately got home, shoved food in my face, and threw the webcam on. So
And you're wearing your Turio blazer.
I'm wearing it's close to the Turio blazer. It's the one I wore to
The
Austin's
wedding.
It's the,
The
wedding,
wedding
blazer.
blazers.
Oh, nice,
Yes.
nice, very nice.
But it is basically the same jacket.
I
wish
mean, you
had.
look like you're just like Turio right now.
Yeah, and this is green, but it looks blue in comparison. So I just look like I just need to dye my hair blonde again, and get those white linen pants that were incredible, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, you can't hide from me.
It's weird 'cause you're wearing a wedding blazer and you are a wedding blazer.
Hey.
I've been to one in my life.
And you blazed it the entire.
I've been to two. One when I was a child, and that one. One that I chose. to
Well,
go.
does my mic sound okay tonight? I'm just checking in real quick before we go into the next
You
part.
sound
of the-
good.
Yeah, you sound great.
Thank you. Okay,
Your
cool.
mic sounds nice. Check one.
Yeah, everyone sounds good. I probably still like a nasally little fart, but
But that's what we love about
that's
it.
just my voice. I keep trying. I keep coming to these thinking like, I got like that's not what I sound like. It's something with I got to do something to my voice to make me sound more palatable. But then I get excited and I forget, and I'm like this. Here we are.
You don't sound like that.
Cut off all nasal resonance and speak only from the throat.
It's just
Easy.
what's the recording the recording feedback. I just haven't said that you hear your voice.
Yeah.
And you don't like it.
I do. There was one time I was at work and I answered the phone and I answered it very low and quiet because I just wanted to do it a little different one time. And the woman on the other, it was someone from another store calling, asking if I could transfer something to her, and she was like, "Oh, your voice is very
Sultry.
it's very soothing and relaxing." And I was like, thank you.
Well, my name's Aaron, and
What can I do for you? And I just kept it up. I was like, I gotta commit. And I was like, how can I help you? And she's like, oh, I need this thing. I'm sorry, we had this customer issue, and like, it's not a big deal, but like, I was just wondering if you could help. So oh my gosh, I forgot what the word is, and I'm like, is she? Like, did I fluster this?
you
woman?
phone operated her. You was
Yeah, it's like, should she be paying me at this moment? Like, is that?
ASMR videos at that
You're
point.
technically on the
Where did all
clock.
these
so
candles
it's
come
good.
from?
Yeah. So that was fun. So I was like, maybe if I just turn that on, and Hey guys, we're just doing activity
Quiet.
tonight.
Just quiet.
And,
I feel like I'm listening to
I'm
NPR.
gonna do my lines.
today in Palo Alto, you never believe it happened.
I think it's working, Aaron.
Yeah. So
You've had an immediate effect on this channel.
There's like 3 or 4 people more watching now.
Sick.
We'll do that. Okay.
Go forward.
We'll take the next scene from I say Mr. Hofstad from Austin.
Stad.
That's true.
Hofstad.
Hofstad. I say Mr. Hofstad.
What's that mean?
Well.
Don't tell me, because I'll do it. So don't.
What is it?
It's gonna be Austin's line. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Sorry. That's my fault. Whenever you guys are ready.
I say, Mr. Hofstad.
Well, what is it?
The mayor is outside in the printing room.
The mayor, did you say?
Yes, he wants to speak to you. He came by in the back door. Didn't want to be seen, you understand?
What can he want? Wait a bit. I will go myself. Just see Ashloxton that no one.
Quite so.
You didn't expect to see me here, Mr. Hofstad?
No, I confess I did not.
You are very snug in here. Very nice indeed.
Oh,
And here I come, without any notice, to take up your time.
By all means, Mr. Mayor, I am at your service. But let me you of your
my hat and stick, thank you. I've had an extremely annoying experience today, Mr. Hofstad.
Really? Well, I expect all the various business you tend to.
The medical officer of the baths is responsible for what happened today.
Indeed. The doctor.
He's addressed a kind of report to the baths committee on the subject of certain supposed defects in the baths.
What? Has he indeed?
Yes, has he not told you? I thought he said that.
Yes. It is true. He did mention something about the baths.
I ought to have that copy.
There it is on the desk.
Right.
But look there. That's the thing I was speaking of.
Yes, that's the doctor's article, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, that is what you were speaking about.
Yes, that's it. What do you think of it?
Oh, I am only a layman. I have only taken a very cursory glance.
But you're going to print it?
I cannot very well refuse a distinguished one.
I have nothing to do with editing the paper, Mr. Mayor. I merely print what's put in my hands.
Quite so.
And so I must,
No, but wait a moment, Mr. Sloskin. You will allow me, Mr. Hofstad?
If you please, Mr. Mayor.
You're a discreet and thoughtful man, Mr. Sloskin.
I am delighted to hear you think so, sir.
The man of very considerable influence.
Chiefly among the small tradesmen, sir.
The small taxpayers are the majority, here as everywhere else.
That is true.
And I have no doubt you know the general trend of opinion among them, don't you?
Yes, I think I may say I do, Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Well, since there's such a praiseworthy spirit of self-sacrifice among the less wealthy citizens of our town, and
what?
Self-sacrifice.
It's a pleasing evidence of public spirited feeling, extremely pleasing evidence. I might almost say I hardly expected it, but you have a closer knowledge of public opinion than I.
But, Mr. Mayor...
And indeed, it's no small sacrifice that the town's going to make.
the town.
But I don't understand. Is it the baths? I don't...
At a provisional estimate, the alterations that the medical officer asserts to be desirable will cost somewhere about £20,000.
That is a lot of money, but...
Of course, it'll be necessary to raise a municipal loan.
Surely you don't mean that the town must pay for the baths
You
to be...
mean that it must come out of the municipal funds? Out of the ill-filled pockets of the small tradesmen?
Well, my dear Mr. Schlockson, where else is the money supposed to come from?
The gentlemen who own the baths ought to provide that.
The proprietors of the baths are not in a position to incur any further expense.
Is that absolutely certain, Mr. Mayor?
I've satisfied myself that it is so. If the town wants these very extensive alterations, it will have to pay for them.
But damn it all! I beg your pardon. This is quite another matter, Mr. Hofstad.
Indeed.
Well, the most fatal part of it is that we shall be obliged to shut the baths for a couple of years.
Shut them! Shut them all together!
For 2 years?
Yes, the work will take as long as that, I mean, at least.
I'm damned if we will stand that, Mr. Mayor. What are we householders to live upon in the meantime?
Well, unfortunately, that's an extremely difficult question to answer, Mr. Ashlockson. But what would you have us do? Do you suppose we shall have a single visitor in the town if we go about proclaiming that our water's polluted, that we're living over a plague spot, that the entire town is
And the whole thing is merely imagination.
With the best will in the world, I have not been able to come to any other conclusion.
Well then, I must say it is absolutely unjustifiable of Dr. Stockman. I beg your pardon, Mr. Mayor.
What you say is lamentably true, Mr. Schlockson. My brother has unfortunately always been a headstrong man.
After this, do you mean to give him your support, Mr. Hofstad?
Can you suppose for a moment that
I've drawn up a short resume of the situation as it appears from a reasonable man's point of view. In it, I have indicated how certain possible defects might suitably be remedied without outrunning the resources of the Baths Committee.
Have you got it with you?
Yes, I brought it with me in case you should want to take a gander.
Good Lord, there he is.
Who? My brother.
But where?
He
Where?
has just gone into the printing room.
How unlucky. I don't want to meet him here. And I still have several things to talk to you about.
Go in there for the present.
But wait.
You will only find going in there.
Quick, Mr. Mayor, he's just coming.
Yes, very well. But see that you get rid of him quickly.
Pretend to be doing something, Ashlockson!
Here I am again.
What? Already, Doctor! Hurry up with what we were speaking about, Ashlockson. We're very pressed for time today.
No proof for me to see yet, I hear.
You couldn't expect to see it yet, Doctor.
No. But I am impatient, as you can understand. I shall not know a moment's peace of mind until I see it in print.
It will take a good while yet. Won't it, Ashlockson?
Oh, sorry. Stop. That was good. That was really good. I liked that a lot.
Thank you.
I
I
felt really good. Steve, I want you from moment one of your entrance to really be softballing these sympathetic lines. You're laying groundwork for this lie that you're about to feed them. What's the line? It's like, oh, you're very snug in here. Oh, very, and here I am to bother you. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to be taking up your time. It's really butter them up like immediately.
Sure. More of a softer approach.
Yeah, it's very like, oh, I'm so sorry to be bothering you. I know you're so busy, and it's such a small. I'm so sorry. You're very hard at work.
Awesome.
Hofstad, there was a line. I'm only a layman. I'm trying to remember how you said it. The way that you said it, I want you to lean into it more. You're very, you had a good instinct with it. Where is it? Oh yeah, you're. Oh, is that what you're speaking about? You're like, I'm only a layman. I've only taken a very cursory glance at it. I don't know what. There's this like you're playing super coy with him, where he's just like, I thought my brother talked to you, and you're like, oh yeah, he did talk to me, but he didn't say. And he's like, isn't that his manuscript? And you're like, yeah, but I don't know anything about that. He just, I just looked at it like a little bit, and then he's further every time he gets you, just like, all right, yeah, I know, until like that moment. But you were playing with that, and I saw it, and I liked the push and pull. I want more that you've been caught, and you're super trying to just like push all this, like, no, I don't, because he's the mayor, and you don't want to disagree with him, but you also don't want him to think that to know that you are trying to sell him under the bus with the paper, because that wouldn't be great for your job.
No.
Austin. Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. Great dick sucking. Really good dick sucking. You're just like, oh, Mr. Mayor, I'm very glad to hear you say that. Thank you. Like, I like that a lot.
Can I hold your cock, sir?
Yeah, I like that. I do like that. I imagine that you're the one that takes his hat and stick, and you're like, oh yes, let me get those for you, and
then I smell it.
And you smell it. And yeah, very like, Steve, I really want you to sell all of these, like, really punch out these lines. No small sacrifice. Like, I really want you to, like, and after all, it's going to be no small sacrifice.
Okay.
And when you give them the number, the 20,000, I really want you to turn it over in your head. It's like, it's going to be probably 20,000.
Okay.
And really, like,
more like a dark cloud over those details surrounding how much work it's going to be for the town, for us.
I don't know if it's so much that. I think it's just kind of purposeful obfuscation, or not obfuscation, but like, precisely well what you want to say to them, but it will be delivered to them better if it's just this off the cuff, like, oh yeah, I don't know, it's gonna be like, I'm trying to think, kind of like Scar in The Lion King, where he's just like, oh well,
yeah, gotcha.
Like Mufasa, he's like, oh, it's just this thing, and it's just like, it's going to be very expensive. Yeah.
Let's get imagery, Aaron.
Yeah, it's that kind of energy that I kind of envision Peter having, is very like, oh well, it's going to be all these expensive, heavy renovations are going to cost so much money, and I don't know where we'll get that money. And then Hodgkin's like, the people who pay for the best, and he's like, they are not in any position to. So if you really want these renovations, it's gonna have to be the townspeople. I don't know. I really want that. You're just really selling these things to them. Austin, all that exchange after that was really funny, but if you could pull that back a little bit, maybe like 15%. I do like the heightened energy and the like surprise. Just don't overshoot it.
Let me find that. Yeah.
I don't remember what the lines were, but you know what I'm talking about. I was rolling laughing, but I don't think I should have been laughing that hard. I just want to pull back a little bit. And
I was just trying to get a feel for it, for sure.
No, it's cool. We're feeling it out. Yeah, just back a little bit. And then the line, and the whole thing is merely imagination. I want you to really, really eat that lie. I want you to really chew that lie. And you're not just like, and the whole thing is merely imagination. Like, here's you, like, selling your soul, like, right there on paper, in black and white, where you're just like, we would have to pay the money, but you're still turning like, this is still a problem. And he's like, oh, you'd have to pay so much money, and here's you finding that out of that problem being your problem. It's like, and it's, oh, this is a convenient solution that it's just imagination, and you're convincing yourself. And I do really want to hit that line, because that is the top 10 anime betrayals moment, where it's like, oh, they're gonna flip on him, and it's like, that's the moment in the script where like, oh, they're gonna fuck him. They're gonna fuck Dr. Stockman.
3 kids and no money. No kids and 3 money.
Yeah. 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 So I really want you to hit that line really, really strong. Of just like really sell that moment for me.
Will be done.
Thank you.
It will be done.
Let's go, shut it. And then Hofstad, I really like your frantic cover energy.
Yeah.
After that,
Good.
what were the lines?
I had flashbacks to Boeing Kai.
Yeah, it is
Robert,
kind of.
Robert, that's his name.
It is kind of that same. It is sort of like a farcical energy, even with the earlier covering as well. Like it is. This is sort of like a weird back and forth serious comedy scene where you have these moments of like bumblefuck Billing and Hofstad just like trying to like make stuff work, and then you have this really serious. And I think that's really brilliant. I really like using comedy to like smack you with something really serious because your guard is down. And I think that's what this scene is you're like, oh, you're laughing at these stupid guys, and then bam, betrayal. And you're like, oh, no. It was so funny. I was so happy. I was happy once. And then we just lay in Hofstad being gross, and then it's funny again, and you're like, I don't like Hofstad, but it's still kind of funny. And then Peter is like, bam, Ashloxen, you're mine. And then Ashloxen's like, and it's like, this is a disaster. So finding these peaks and valleys of misery and happiness. There's a lot in this scene. So that's my vision for Act 3, is just chipping away at everything you have left. Okay, that's all I had. Does anybody else have anything?
This notes section is just making me so happy.
Oh, there's a lot.
Oh yeah.
You said there's a notes section?
No, just us talking about this is just making me very happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the process. I'm much happier with this notes section than Act 4's notes section, which was all just like technical stuff. But we'll get to that. It's long. It's exactly what we thought it was gonna be. I keep bitching about it, and I need to stop bitching about it because it was fine. But I'm very happy to be back, just giving acting notes and making it work. This is my favorite part. This is my favorite part. This is my favorite part. Okay. Anyone else have anything they want to discuss or like pick at? No. Okay.
Aaron, your voice sounds a little whiny or like nasally. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, that's a known issue. It's in the patch notes. We're working on it.
Okay.
4.12. We think we found something, but we're still working it. And so
Aaron, you have a beautiful voice.
No, that's not
and you're
true.
dressed so well.
Thank you. I literally just Austin put on like a scarf thing, and I was like, I gotta dress up now, and I put on the blazer. I wasn't wearing it originally.
It's Pavlov's scarf.
Yeah. If you put on nicer clothes, Aaron just like gets up and puts on nicer clothes because he feels like he has to. I'm conditioned.
You know why Pavlov's hair was so soft?
Why?
Because he conditioned it.
Okay, everything.
My wife told me that joke.
Good job, Nicole.
She didn't make it up, but she heard somewhere, and then she told me.
That's a very fun and smart joke.
I have to go.
I'm gonna need a nap after that one.
I have to go pick up my script. Because I threw it. Because remember, that's a thing I do.
Throw things.
Side note, I'm dying right now.
Should we...
Because of the mosquito?
Are you okay,
Yes.
Mitchell? What's going on?
Since I sat down, I've been bitten by either 1 or 2 mosquitoes about 15 times on my legs.
Where are you?
And I'm sitting in the dining room of a house that I'm house sitting for. There's nothing open. There's no windows or doors open.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So
I
a
didn't
The way you can
mosquito.
afford that art behind you.
I was gonna
no,
say.
I was like, this is so lovely.
I thought
Isn't it
that
great?
looked like the aesthetic
gorgeous.
of the B&B, and I was like, oh, he's just downstairs for some reason.
No.
Yeah.
I'm at Jay Daniel's house sitting for him.
You are at Jay Daniels' house!
Yes. Jay Daniel, if you see this, there's a mosquito in here, and it is evil, and my legs it's just my legs. It's my calves are covered in mosquito bites right now, and I'm having trouble focusing. But
You did that
You
right.
have-
You were in the soft embrace of a smooth jazz player.
Do you have sweet blood? My brother is constantly bitten by mosquito bites, but I'm not.
I might be. I
Yeah.
don't know why it's just my legs. My arm. I'm not wearing sleeves, but they like.
They can smell the Robertitos flowing through you.
You know what? It might be the ACL replacement that I got might have done something to my blood chemistry in my legs.
Your pH
specifically.
is...
Yeah.
I have a solution, but Aaron won't like it. Mosquitoes
Yes.
don't bite drunk people.
Oh, that's fine. There's some bourbon right here. I think
Yeah.
I'm sure I can.
I'm
different
fine
day.
with you guys drinking on stream. Just don't show up drunk.
No, I've been drinking.
That's fine. Just don't show up ready to
We're not
receive
drunk.
notes. And
Mm-hmm.
cool.
I'm just
Do you guys
itching.
want to take a quick break?
In Act 4, it would be in character for me to be drunk for one of the 8
For one of
people I
them?
play.
So if you can work that,
One of the characters.
if you can work that, all more power to you. If you can work that, you're a genius.
That wouldn't be a skill. That'd be a superpower.
Yeah.
Drinks heavily and then stuffs face full of bread for the next line, and then takes another shot after.
Boom dip 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 boom.
So, Stockman just came back in. Stockman.
Here I am.
Thomas.
Okay. That was a lot.
All right. Are we just going?
And
What's the
What
plan?
line are we going from?
Catherine is accompanying him, yes?
No.
No.
Yeah. She comes in later.
No?
I come in on my own accord.
Oh.
She's her own woman.
Very new age of you.
I am, but I'm really not.
I'm actually running away from her at the moment, actively.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just glanced by it. Your lines were so close together, I thought. Little did
They
I
both
know.
say Stockman at the beginning.
What?
No, nothing. We'll see it later.
What are you drinking, Sabrina?
Rum and Coke
Oh,
and water.
And water.
It's
yeah.
Kraken and Coke, actually, to be more specific.
It's my favorite
Oh.
drink.
Mm. I was gonna do gin and tonic, but I ran out of tonic, so I was like, "That's gin and tonic's mine." Sad, but I have Coke, so I was like, "All right, might as well."
Gin and tonic's really good.
I love gin and tonic.
Here I am
For the
again,
good gin.
Thomas.
Okay. We're just going.
Whenever you guys are ready.
All
I
right.
didn't even see that. Sorry.
Here I am again. Right after
I know.
you guys
Here
are
I am.
Bathhouse.
All right. And here we go.
I don't see it.
Here I am again.
Alrighty, Doctor. Hurry up. We're very pressed for time today.
No proof for me to see yet, I hear.
You couldn't expect it yet, Doctor.
No, but I am impatient, as you can understand. I shall not know a moment's peace of mind until I see it in print.
It will take a good while yet, won't it, Ashlockson?
Yes, I'm almost afraid it will.
Oh, all right, my dear friends. I will come back. I do not mind coming back twice, if necessary. A matter of such great importance. The welfare of the town at stake. It is no time. It is no time to shirk trouble. Look here. There is one more thing I want to speak to you about.
Excuse me, but could it not wait until some time?
I can tell you in half a dozen words. It is only this. When my article is read tomorrow, and it is realized that I have been quietly working the whole winter for the welfare of the town.
Really
I know what you were going to say. You don't see how on earth it was any more than my duty, my obvious duty as a citizen. Of course, it wasn't. I know that as well as you, but my fellow citizens, you know. Oh, good lord. Think of all the good souls who think so highly of me.
Yes, our townsfolk have had a very high opinion of you so far, Doctor.
Yes, and that is just why I am afraid they... Well, this is the point. When this reaches them, especially the poorer classes, and sounds in their ears like a summons to take the town's affairs into their own hands for the future...
Doctor, I won't conceal from you the fact...
I knew there was something in the wind. But I won't hear a word of it. If anything of that sort is being set on foot,
Of what sort?
Well, whatever it is, whether it's a demonstration in my honor, or a banquet, or subscription list for some presentation of mine, whatever it is, you must promise me solemnly and faithfully to put a stop to it. You too, Mr. Eschloxen, do you understand?
You must forgive me, Doctor. But sooner or later, we must tell you the plain truth.
Oh, just as I thought.
You too, Miss Stockman.
What on earth do you want here, Catherine?
I should think you know very well what I want.
Won't you sit down? Or...
No, thank you. Don't trouble. And you must not be offended by my coming to fetch my husband. I am the mother of 3 children, you know.
Nonsense. We know all about that.
Well, one would not give you credit for much thought for your wife and children today. If you had, that you would not have been gone and dragged us all to misfortune.
Are you out of your senses, Catherine? Because a man has a wife and children, is he not allowed to proclaim the truth? Is he not allowed to be an actively useful citizen? Is he not allowed to do a service to his native town?
Yes, Thomas. In reason.
Just what I say. Moderation in everything.
And that is why you wrong us, Mr. Hofstede, in enticing my husband away from his home and making a dupe of him in all of this.
I am certainly making a dupe.
Making a dupe of me? Do you suppose I should allow myself to be duped?
It is just what you do. I know quite well you have more brains than anyone in this town, but you are extremely easily duped, Thomas. Please do realize that he loses his post at the bats if you print what he has written.
What?
Well, look here, Doctor.
Just let them try. No, they will take good care not to. I have got the compact majority behind me, let me tell you.
Yes, that is just the worst of it. You're having any such horrid thing behind you.
Rubbish, Catherine. Go home and look after your house and leave me to look after the community. How can you be so afraid when I am so confident and happy? Truth, and the people will win the fight, you may be certain. I see the whole of the broad-minded middle class marching like a victorious army. What the deuce is that lying there?
Good lord.
Here we have the topmost pinnacle of authority.
The mayor's hat.
And here's the staff of the office, too. How in the name of all that is wonderful?
Well, you see...
Oh, I understand. Yes. He's been here trying to talk you over. He may he made rather a mistake there. And as soon as he's caught sight of me in the printing room, did he run away, Mr. Schlockson?
Yes, he ran away, Doctor.
Run away without his stick or... Fiddlesticks. Peter doesn't run away and leave his belongings behind him. But what the deuce have you done with him? In there, of course. Now you shall see, Catherine.
Thomas, please don't act
Don't
like
be
a
rash,
child.
Doctor.
What does this tomfoolery mean?
Be respectful, my good Peter. I am the chief authority in the town now.
Really, Thomas?
Hey, give me my hat and stick.
If you are the chief constable, let me tell you that I am the mayor. I am the master of the whole town, please understand.
Take off my hat, I tell you. Remember, it's part of an official uniform.
Pooh. Do you think the newly awakened lion-hearted people are going to be frightened by an official hat? There is going to be a revolution in this town tomorrow, let me tell you. You thought you could turn me out? But now I shall turn you out. Yes, turn you out of all your various offices. Do you think I cannot? Listen to me. I have triumphant social forces behind me. Hofstad and Billing will thunder in the People's Messenger, and Schlockson will take the field at the head of the whole Householders Association.
That I won't, Doctor.
Well, of course you will, Schlockson.
May I ask, then, if Mr. Hofstad intends to join this agitation?
Mr. Mayor.
No, Mr. Hofstadt is not such a fool as to go and ruin his paper and himself for the sake of an imaginary grievance.
What does this mean?
You have represented your case in a false light, Doctor, and therefore I am unable to give you my support.
And after what the mayor was so kind to tell me just now, I can't
false
even...
light. Just leave that part of it to me. Only print my article. I am quite capable of defending it.
I am not going to print it. I cannot and will not and dare not print it.
You dare not? What nonsense! You are the editor, and an editor controls his paper, I suppose.
No, it is the subscribers, Doctor.
Fortunately, yes.
It is public opinion. The enlightened public, householders and people of that kind. They control the newspapers.
And I have all these influences against me.
Yes, you have. It would be the absolute ruin of the community if your article were to appear.
Indeed.
My hat and stick, if you please. Your authority as mayor has come to an untimely end.
We have not got to the end yet. Then it is quite impossible for you to print my article in the People's Messenger?
Quite impossible. Out of regard for your family as well.
You need not concern yourself about this family. Thank you, Mr. Hofstad.
It will be sufficient for the guidance of the public if this appears. It's an official statement. May I trouble you?
Certainly. I will see that it is printed.
But not mine. Do you imagine that you can silence me and stifle the truth? You will not find it so easy as you suppose, Mr. Eschlockson. Kindly take my manuscript at once and print it as a pamphlet at my expense. I will have 400 copies. No, 5 or 600.
If you offered me its weight in gold, I could not lend my press to you for such a purpose, Doctor. It would be flying in the face of public opinion. You will not get it printed anywhere in town.
Then give it back!
Here it is.
It shall be made public all the same. I will read it out at a mass meeting of the townspeople. All my fellow citizens shall hear the voice of truth.
You will not find any public body in the town that will give you the use of their hall for such a purpose.
Not a single one, I'm certain.
No, I'm damned if you find one.
But this is shameful. Why should you turn against you like that?
I will tell you why. It is because all the men in this town are old women like you. They all think of nothing but their families and never of the community.
Then I will show them what an old woman can be. A man for once. I'm going to stand by you, Thomas.
Bravely said, Catherine. It shall be made public, as I am a living soul. If I can't hire a hall, I shall hire a drum and parade the town with it and read it at every street corner.
You are surely not such an arrant fool as that.
Yes, I am!
You won't find a single man in the whole town who will go with you.
No, I'm damned if you will.
Don't give in, Thomas. I will tell the boys to go with you.
That is a splendid idea.
Morton will be delighted, and Eilif will do whatever he does.
Yes, and Petra too, and you too.
No, I will not do that. But I will stand at the window and watch you. That is what I will do.
Thank you, my dear. Now you and I are going to... Yes. Now, you and I are going to try a fall, my fine gentlemen. I am going to see whether a pack of cowards can succeed in gagging... I am going to see whether a pack of cowards can succeed in gagging a patriot who wants to purify society.
Now he has sent her out of her senses, too.
You guys, got a few notes.
Yeah.
Hofstad. What makes Hofstad turn? Because he was standing up to Peter. It wasn't just Peter's line about the money that made Hofstad turn. You turned on Thomas in the middle of Thomas being there while he's talking. Suddenly you decide, you know what? No. Why?
I'll have to delve into that a little bit deeper because I don't. Because I have myself where that switch is.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain either. I wonder... Something to pursue that I'm not sure how we're going to communicate in this format is that Peter gives him another paper before he gives him this paper. Right? Or did I misread? I feel like he gave him... He says, here's a resume, which I think is like another statement.
He doesn't hand it, but Peter reads it. He essentially reads what's in the piece of paper, and that is to convince Hofstad at least a considerable amount of the way to
I see.
Turning him, I guess you could say. But I'm not convinced myself it's clear in the writing from that moment that it turns him right then and there.
Right.
There's the start of a turn. I'm not sure if there's a clear turn. And my first go at that line with the paper, I accidentally read past the stage direction, so I didn't know exactly what I was referencing when I said that. So I could have delivered it a bit more clearly. Again, like I said, I think there's more to it than that, though.
Yeah. It's interesting because I'm not 100% either. Oh.
I feel like the decision has to be made before the question from the mayor, Peter. May I ask that if Mr. Hofstad tends to join this agitation? The choice has to be made, I think, before that point.
Right. That's the moment where you give in, like, okay, this I'm not going to. But before then,
it's the declaration. Yes.
Yeah, but before then, well, because even then, before that, where is it? Where I think Ashloxen. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out who it was that said it. But
So
they're
while
saying,
while you're looking for it, let's be clear about two things. So before some of this happens, with the conversation with Petra and Hofstad, he essentially is starting to hint towards the fact that his morals are malleable. That he does favor, to some extent, financial security over ideology, and in the sense that politics are more important to him than he would like to let on to Petra. And then second, when Peter shows up and starts talking about, hey, if we're gonna do these renovations to the baths, and if you're gonna publish this, the committee can't pay for it. I hope you know. So the money's gonna come from the townspeople, and I assume there's some kind of system about who contributes what. And Ashlaskan and Hofstad are in line to pay a bigger share of those renovations than other townspeople would be, which would cripple Hofstad's already, to some extent, struggling paper, right?
Yes, because of that.
Yeah, insofar that Ashloxen, in the scene before, or like the section before, Ashloxen's like, hey, well, if we can get Morton Keel on our side, he'll help us out financially, right? And so, but it's like a big if Morton Keel will actually do that, like what could make him motivated. So I digress. I think it's all kind of financially motivated for Hofstad. And unfortunately, to the detriment of his "quote unquote" good character, that he would be financially motivated, especially when again Peter starts talking about how financially crippling it will be, even if he's being misleading. How financially crippling it will be for the townspeople and people like Ashlaskan and Hofstad. I've talked for long enough.
It was actually Billing and Hofstad talking about Morton Keel being a potential donor, because I was out of the room and they were talking about maybe we should get rid of Ashloxen and go over his head on this.
Gotcha. Thank you, Austin. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just looked back over. I found the line I was looking for, but I think I just heard it wrong. I was writing a note or something, and it's not what I was looking for. But looking back over further, yeah, it definitely is more, in the script at least, that it's like little bits that pull him away where every statement is like, well, is it really going to cost that much? You mean we're going to have to pay? And it's this? And it's like this sort of like, oh. And you're kind of like, I think Hofstad is kind of wishy-washy, like, until the big blowout happens. Because he's still like, Thomas, like, your brother's here, like, let's not have this moment. Like, your brother, and he's just like going and going and going, and you're just like, I can't.
Yeah.
Like,
So yeah, the interesting thing is like, how do we play this, right? So we talked about like, and I think it's great, these like comedic sequences, right? Where in which the viewer eventually is heart-stricken because it was so funny, and now there's straight up betrayal slapping this story in the face. So, are some of these, do you see the gears turning in Ashloxen, Billing, and or of course, most importantly, Hofstad's minds? How do we see those gears turning? At which moments? And are they moments of like, dramatic foreshadowing, or are they also in moments of comedic, like, oh shit, money, right? Oh, funny, kind of thing. So yeah, how do you want to portray those moments, and how do we isolate, locate those moments of turn? And it's not even like a full turn. It's not a 180, right? It's like 40 degrees, 40 degrees, 40 degrees, and then the betrayal. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm kind of nerding out about it, but
yeah, I feel that a lot about this scene, and like Act 2 also both make me feel the same way. So juicy. Yeah, I like all those thoughts. I agree. It's going to be like a step ladder of finding that motivation.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I mentioned, I need to deliver my specific lines, if as we what's the word, isolate certain lines of turns for, let's say, Hofstadt specifically, or others, I in part need to check the lines that come right before those, right? And give Hofstadt and or Aslaxen more kind of like energy, motivation to like have that beat hit harder.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely on me. Yeah.
Hey, we'll find those moments. This is one I
And
think
I
will
don't
work.
say on me in terms of importance. I say on me in the sense that I need to do better with the line reading.
No, well, it's just of importance. Like us, we'll find those moments. And I think we've already found them really, and we'll definitely be seeing this scene again. This will probably be one of the ones we hit more. Because there's so much in here. I definitely want to see that Petra Hofstad scene again, because there's a lot there. Okay, that's just for that question. We've pretty much got where I wanted from that. Thomas, man, you're still such a dick to your wife.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Well, I'm mad at her. I'm kind of mad at her.
Why?
This is a strange sequence.
Because I feel like I'm not receiving the support that I need from her on this subject.
Okay.
So when she comes in, I'm like, please, Catherine, I know you don't want me doing this, but I have to do this. And so I'm angry with her when she.
Yeah.
I get it.
Granted,
I get it.
I speak to her very meanly, and I'm like, well, and I belittle her, which is not, I just have to do it. I just gotta do it. Sorry, Kath.
Yeah.
Yes,
I have a couple of notes written, and because I've noticed this is a very common theme that happens throughout this play. I'm trying to find it, but pretty much any time someone, not only me, but any woman mentioned in this show, anytime a woman is belittled in this show, the playwright kind of writes something so that it's not addressed. So a lot of the time, like when he says something, subject change immediately, so we can't talk about it. And I cannot find this note for the life of me. But yeah. Oh, I said, why do we always brush over the notes of extreme sexism and misogyny in these characters? They're never addressed by other characters, and it makes the women complicit in the behavior, which I found very interesting. But the period of writing and then that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
it's frustrating as a female actress. It's very frustrating, but I mean, it is what it is. But then at the same time, I do see where you're coming from, Mitchell. Like if I were in his position, I'd agree.
Yeah, and I mean, I think too. Yeah, a lot of the interaction has to do with the period that it was written in, and not to justify that sort of treatment, but
absolutely, yeah.
It's just, and that's like I just have
to his wife.
Overall, it's just like the relationship between Catherine and Thomas. Sometimes it's just I'm so alone. I feel like there's no one here to support me.
Well, Petra, as much as says so in the beginning of the play, where she's like, we're talking about how he's like, at work we can't say anything, at home we're not supposed to speak. We're like it's a societal thing where.
What and Ibsen made a point to always like Doll's House. That is a through line throughout his writing career where it's commentary on the treatment of women, especially in that time period, I believe.
Yeah, and I think that's why you're such a dick. I think that's why Thomas is such a dick to Thomas.
Oh my gosh. I'm just like, woman? And then finally she's like, I support you. And I'm like,
like what? Any other wives in the play?
Yeah, I feel like...
We don't even know who's married.
I don't think... it seems like no one else is.
They're all bachelors.
They all share Catherine.
Yeah, can we look at this moment towards the end of Act 3? So the exact moment we're talking about, right? So Mrs. Shockman says, but this is too shameful. Why would everyone turn against you like that? And Dr. Shockman says, I'll tell you why. It's because all the men in the town are old women like you. They all think nothing but their families and never of the community. And then Mrs. Stockman says, right, and this is where Sabrina's getting, her response is, and in parentheses, putting her arm into his, then I will show them that an old woman can be a man for once. I'm going to stand by you, Thomas. Bravely said, Catherine. It's showing
Very brave. Yeah, she's like, okay, fuck. This is like the one time she says, "Fuck you." Women can be just as equal as you guys, and then, but she still puts her arm inside of him, standing with her husband. Sure, but like, I can go on for days about this, and I have copious notes about it. But like,
she walks it back like immediately after too. She's like, "I'm gonna stand with you," and then she's like, "I'm gonna stand in the
Well,
lane."
and I'm definitely playing the sympathy card at that point, where she's like, because I'm just like, they suck. They all suck. And then like I finally get what I want from you, and I'm like, awesome. All right. Anyways, so on to what I really. Yeah.
So I wanted to talk further about this moment here, right? Because it's really dumb, right? It's so immature. This situation sucks because people like you make it sucky. And she says, I don't want to be sucky. I'm actually not like that. I feel the way you do. And he's like, oh, that's awesome. You're great. Okay. And so it's like blah blah blah, and it's like nothing of substance.
Yeah.
It's like,
I have a lot of notes about it. I'm
curious. I'm curious. You know, what can we, as or what can Sabrina specifically and Mitchell specifically, us as a ensemble, do to this part, right? So if it's, how do I put it? You know, so Mrs. Shockman asks a valid question, in that why should everyone turn against you like that? Dr. Stockman's response is super immature, right? And it's a dagger to Mrs. Stockman. So at that point, you know, how can you fire back at him? How can you deliver this line or change the line just a little bit in a way that says to him, look, I don't care, you know, let me get past your own bullshit for a moment. Look, I'm standing by you, all right? And you know, how do we put that fire under your husband to make him think, bravely put him in a place where he's got to be humble. Like, he's got to realize what he said. This is like a brand new beat, right? Rather than taking your line and say, bravely said, Catherine, you know, how can it be potentially a teachable moment for Dr. Shockman? A moment where Dr. Shockman realizes his wife is a lot more formidable than he ever gave her credit to. Especially because it's toward the end of the act. Sorry, I'm super nerding out over this. I'm just, what can we do?
Because I don't want to add too much of a rewrite, but I do want to say, like, with your respect, I stand with you, or something like that. Because what I want is respect. Point blank.
I don't think we need to rewrite it.
No, I want to add something to it.
I think we can just find this in the acting, if I'm honest.
Okay.
I do think so. On her line, then I will show them that an old woman can be a man for once. I'm going to stand by you, Thomas. If it was like, I'll stand by you, Thomas, you know, a little bit more short with him, I don't know. But again, I do digress. There doesn't need to be a rewrite. It's simply in the delivery and or the energy that gets exchanged, right?
Okay.
Is there a beat or something? Yeah, that's all.
Okay. I can play with that.
Yeah. Thank you guys for letting me through.
Thank you for saying it.
You're welcome. Yeah, you feel strongly about this, and as we all do.
Yeah.
And, might as well address it. Might as well reimagine it, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned a keyword in that Mrs. Stockman wants respect here, right? Now, I would challenge you. I think that's exactly right, but I think she wants more than respect. I think she wants her husband to feel humble, like humble. Her husband's too smart for his own too damn good, right?
Yeah.
If all she gets from her husband is respect, he doesn't learn anything. It's easy for him to respect his wife. It's his freaking wife of all people. It's so easy for him to say, bravely said, Catherine, and have everything be fine. No, I think it's more than that. And I'm not even trying to be, you know, if anybody gets the sense I'm trying to be like, oh, super virtuous or whatever. I'm like, no, I think in an honest exchange here, seriously, what could set Dr. Stockman right? It insofar that Mr. Stockman wouldn't say, why the fuck would you say that? You have fun at your little town meeting. I'm going to go home with the kids, right? I don't know. So what changes for her?
She's been warning him about this the whole play. She's the only person who hasn't just been saying yes to everything to him and has been warning him, well, think of the kids and hey, don't set yourself against your brother. She's been going out of her way to like try to be the voice of actual reason for this, and he ignores her. Oh, that's woman talk. I'm not listening to that. You're just like that, Catherine. And then he continues up to this point, and now her prophecy is coming true. And instead of her going, I told you so, she's like, why the fuck are they turning against you? And then he's like, because they're all like you. They don't get it. They're all women. And I think this is like her chance to go, I can make a decision here instead of just saying I told you so. And
I do have a note where I say if there's any time to make a statement of my own, this is the time to do it. So I'm going to take this opportunity and have an opinion and voice my own opinion.
He's obviously not going to be able to get himself out of this situation without her help.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Some
and
sort
then
of
I'm so curious to see and hear Dr. Shockman's Thomas's response to the energy you fire back at him. That's going to be really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
My dad used to always tell me when I'd get worked about something when I was a kid, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? And I feel like Thomas is so into his, but I'm right, that he can't see the forest for the trees. And she's so focused on what it's doing to the family that he has this vendetta. And that it's only been elevated by all these yes men telling him yes and then conferring with each other behind his back. So her standing up for him is really her standing up for her own family. Because they don't have anybody else right now.
And there's also the there's a betrayal in this scene between Stockman and the People's Messenger, because when everything was coming out as well with Thomas, it was about the bats. It was about the poisonous water. And yes, he wrote a strongly worded letter to the mayor about this and to the bats committee, but that was what it was about. And then because Thomas is so easily duped, because he's so influenced by those around him, he has now embraced the idea that the bats are just more of a physical manifestation of what the town actually is, like what it's subsisting on, and I that the betrayal of him after he's been pushed into this ideological corner by people who have been supporting him up until this point.
We could argue if Thomas had thicker skin, this play almost wouldn't be a play, you know.
No, definitely. What he wouldn't. I get so caught up. I get caught up in the image. Like there's so many fantastical ideas being thrown around, the images of me, and like I definitely am basking in the glory of the idea of being praised by the town for this work that I've been doing. I say it's pretty obvious early on when I'm saying telling Schlockson and Hofstad and Billing that if something's being organized, to make sure that there's a stop put to it, I'm really just like, if something's being organized, make sure it's done right and big enough to truly celebrate the things I've accomplished. Like, what I'm saying one thing, but like I definitely feel something else.
He has expectations.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Well, cool. Sabrina, did you have any more to say on this section? I'm so interested to see how it's going to turn out. I feel like there's like all this pressure now for me, like to be like this special moment or something. But however it happens,
I like to write my own thoughts and like my own reactions into like different lines that are thought from my reactions from my character's point of view. And there's a lot of fuck yous written in this.
Yeah.
Justifiably. But it's like, it's fine for me when it comes to creating this character within myself. It's a lot of balance between being my mom and being myself, because like I react a lot like be rational and actually think through your actions, make sure that what you're doing is not the best for yourself right now, but for the big picture as well, because you're not only thinking about yourself, you have to think about other people as well that are involved, or you are throwing into the fire as well along with you. So there's that. And then when is it okay to actually make opinions for yourself and actually voice these thoughts and opinions? So it's finding that balance is becoming a really interesting challenge for me, and accepting misogyny in front of me. But no, this is going to be interesting for sure, and there's a lot to think about so far. As I'm just reading it.
Awesome.
I did laugh a lot when I have a note written where Steven, you say, surely you're not such an errand fool as that, and Stockman says, yes, I am, and I have a note under that says, yes, he is.
I am. Thank you.
And I say, and I'm thinking,
I love
yes,
that
he is.
moment.
It's my favorite thing. And then when I say, when you're like, oh, I'm going to take a drum and go outside, and then our sons are going to come with you. Yes, Petra, you too, Catherine. I'm like, no. That, I was laughing. I was pretty much on the floor just laughing at that part, because I just thought that was the funniest thing. Like, I'll watch you, but I'm not going to, no.
No, sorry, honey. No. You misunderstood.
That's where I draw the line. I draw the line there.
Kathy, come on. Let's march through the streets.
No thanks. I'm
Alright.
totally in my corner.
Maybe Mrs. Stockman just knows that her husband is gay. Since
I'm in
he's
love with
so
my brother.
upset, he'd rather be married to a husband. I'm just saying.
There you go.
I'm just
Needs
saying.
approval from other guys anyway. I'm just here for as an
He's
accessory.
like, I know, babe. I'll be your husband today. I'm just saying.
I'm like, oh, yeah.
Well,
We got the strap
good,
on.
nice
I
feedback.
gotta go see some poor devil. I'll be right back.
Thanks for hopping into this.
That makes my life even sadder.
Aaron, what is next on the plate?
Or what notes?
Wait. I have a lot to say about all of that. At some point, I'll try to find a moment too. Yeah, I have a lot of plans for Mr. Stockman in this scene, because I also think that this is a really good moment to not be, or to find a path against this like sexism. There's a lot of like moments that we can hit a different way than expected than these. A lot like when you show up and at the beginning of the scene, I think that's very insular, very like you're just like, Thomas, where the fuck have you been? Come home, Jesus fucking Christ! I've been home all day with the kids. You wouldn't know that because you wouldn't think that you have kids because you're off gallivanting wherever the fuck. Come home. What are you doing? And like, I think that's the energy. It's this very serious, like, she is coming to get her husband, like, not to like show up where he called her to. You're just like, where have you been? Help me. Like, stop this. You're being ridiculous.
I kind of see this moment as I'm not only trying to take my husband home, I'm trying to take him out of this situation. Like,
Right.
I'm done. We're not doing this.
Lady.
Right.
Yeah. They're talking to me.
Oh, sorry. Wait. I'm talking to the puppy. I thought this was muted. That didn't Lady.
So I call people I call women lady too. So I'm just like,
I apologize.
No, it's all right. No, I agree with you. I think of it as well as like, I'm putting a stop to this. This is ending right now, and that's why I also mentioned he does lose his job if you print this.
Yeah,
that's another thing
know
to
that
think
this
about,
is going
because I'm at stake here.
Yeah, it's like you guys are all having this fun, but you know what happens, right? If you guys do this, like, yeah. I think you coming in at like such a high energy is going to feed into these moments of like you're just and these I think coming in with that energy is going to feed you when you have to make that choice. Because it's all going to you're going to be at such like an adrenaline level, and then they're going to hit him with you're going to realize that they've sold him out swept him under the rug, and your brain is like, okay, what do? You're at this like heightened energy, and you have this fight or flight. What's the choice I make here?
Okay.
Thomas, let me see if I find more specific moments, because I mean I definitely want to work this. I mean, this my plan from the beginning.
I'd like to work this tonight.
Yeah, we will work this plenty because this is a scene that I want to be. I mean, we're gonna work Act 3 overall, but I mean this specific moment I really want to hit because that's what I wanted out of this. As I was reading it, I was like, I don't like this character. Let's fix it.
Well, this is one of the larger interactions between Thomas and
like you said, like this is the moment. So
this is we kind of established both sides of their marital in this moment.
And I think half of it is going to come from what you bring to it, and half of it is going to have to come from how Mitchell reacts to it. As far as it being a learning moment, like for instance, you have where he's like, I will tell you, it's because they're all men or old women, and they don't think of nothing but their families. And I think you should, at this moment, rough draft, you'd be mocking him. You're like, fine, well, I'll show him that an old woman can be a man and stand with you, and like that. And then Mitchell would have to have like, oh, well, bravely said, Catherine. You know, like.
Anyways, it shall be made.
I don't even think I don't think you even. I think it'll be a full.
It's kind of.
Wow, that was so profound. Cute woman over there now.
No, I think. Well, and I think that beyond bravely said, Catherine, it's kind of the fire has changed, at least, because now I'm no longer being propped up by these betrayers, but I have my family.
Yeah.
And that's definitely going to to inform the rest
stronger.
of me.
And she doesn't even just like say she stands behind you. She gives you all of your family. She's like, Morton will be there and Aleph will be there.
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah. I think that, and I definitely, thinking back, I brought the energy from the rest of the scene into that final part of this act, but I think it really there can be a different sort of cool smoldering fire coming from that newfound support. Lovely wife, Cat. I too am interested in.
I have some ideas bubbling.
Yeah, I'd like to see Sabrina be a big river that comes in and changes the course of the scene, energy-wise.
What's up, Austin?
Am I wrong, or does she enter when he's wearing the mayor's hat and acting?
No, that's right before.
I find it.
So she does see it, is what Austin's saying, right?
Yeah.
I'm the one that says that's the mayor's hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he starts behaving like an idiot right in front of you.
Ooh, I have this lovely note that says, and there goes my decorated husband, father of 3, acting like a child to antagonize his brother for funsies.
Yep.
And then I have another one that says, I raised 3 children, but I live with 4.
Yep.
Nice.
Nicole.
Has crashed into the mountain.
The whole time. Yes.
What?
I got
I'm
you.
just having a good time. I care about the town. I care about the bats. I care about.
It'll all make
science.
sense when you realize that the doctor has been wearing the long-beaked plague suit the whole show, and just waving a stick around, just waving around a stick.
You just never. Yeah.
Case.
So, Aaron, we're getting close to time. Is there more you'd like to work? Are there any overarching notes for tonight, or what to be prepared for the next meeting, or what to keep on our minds, or?
No, I mean just everything we've talked about today. I don't think I need to see anything again right now. Not with the time we've got left. So, yeah. I like the discussions that we've had today. I like the direction it's heading, so just keep all that in mind. Because we're going to go to Act 5 next, so that's the conclusion. Just carry out where your characters are at that moment. I know we had Act 4 previously, so just kind of revisit Act 4 and where you were at there, and take this and plug it in appropriately where it's supposed to be. And just kind of keep working these motivations and figuring out where everyone's at the start of Act 5, and show up with that.
Do you are you still working out when to work Act 4 next? Or are we not working it again?
It's probably going to be Saturday again when everyone's available the next time.
Yeah. Cool.
I think that's about the only time I can do that scene.
Cool.
Unfortunately.
I've been thinking about Act 4 a little bit, and Mitchell and I were playing Smash Brothers online last night, and
Rollback.
I was bouncing some ideas off him, and he off me, and I had some more thoughts concerning Act 4 and possibly some of the, I don't know, dynamics of it. So we'll get to that, though, on Saturday. I'll speak up a little bit after we run it, but yeah.
And sidebar, as far as production goes, we also just thought of I guess it would be considered a Foley artist, but like Foley DJ and sound design for the productions as something that we have available to us, since this is essentially a radio play. If we have a Foley DJ giving the door, the entrance and exit cues with door shuts and whatnot, and the sound of footsteps and outdoors, so that was something that we were just like, oh wait, this is literally perfect for what we're doing. So
yeah,
it is in the air now.
That's a good idea. I had considered a sound designer, but I didn't go that far with that idea, so that's pretty good. I didn't think about it.
I wonder if Discord would pick it up.
Well, we were thinking digital. If there's a way to digitally produce that, because we thought the same thing.
You can add audio
you can't
sources.
really do stamps on your desk. It might not pick up, just like Austin said.
Yeah.
But if it's like a digital input, however that works, it could be something cool to play with. And
Mark has a thought. Mark?
I already have programs that can turn any program into a digital sound input for Discord.
Foley DJ. Foley DJ.
Nice.
That is Hollow Knight.
That is Hollow Knight, yes. I've been listening while playing. Had to get somewhere safe and pause real quick so I could jump in.
What a nerd.
Okay.
I'm a bigger nerd.
Yeah. So, that was something that we discussed, and I thought you would be interested in it.
Mark.
Always interested. It's a good idea. I'll look into it.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else from you guys? Any more?
I had fun. Thanks, everybody.
I had a great time.
Thank you for the work.
Sabrina's shirt is so cute.
It's a little crop top.
It's so freaking cute.
I was in like biker shorts all day, and I was wearing another shirt, and I was like, we gotta look cute. All right, let's feel good about ourselves today.
You said you did a character birthday party?
Yeah, so I'm a birthday party princess, and we do parties over Zoom. So today I'm currently playing Moana. So I had big wig background. Yeah, it was on my Instagram yesterday. You guys saw that. But yeah, Mitchell, you know Megan Gainey. She was Ariel with me in our party.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so we had a little fun time entertaining, like
Go ahead. Y'all been rocking the princess party gigs and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's legit in LA. That is the way. So
it's a lot of fun, and then like we have one of the girls, a Broadway girl that's with the group that I work with, and then it's a lot of fun. And then we just played with two 2-year-olds and a 5-year-old today for 45 minutes, and that made money off of it, and it's a great time. And that's actually what all of this shit is over here. It's my setup.
That's awesome.
Yeah, nice. It's a lot of fun, and it makes good money too. So
yep. People love princesses.
Yeah, and then we're working on putting together Jasmine as well. Mm-hmm. Pocahontas might be in the future for me, Princess Helena, all the brown princesses. That's yeah. So that's what I was doing today before my long nap.
Esmeralda?
I pitched her. She's not officially on the roster, but I was like, "Hey, I have this one," and she's like, "It's a good idea. We just don't have a costume, so and then no one's asking for her, so yeah, I did pitch Princess Elena, the Spanish princess. I think the biggest thing is that I don't play guitar, so there's that. And then what else? Yeah, Princess Jasmine. We have parties lined up. The costume just doesn't fit, so we're making some adjustments. But I have to do a little mini magic show with like sleight of hand tricks magic.
I'm on both of your Instagrams, but I'm not seeing it.
I put it on a story.
Oh.
And yeah, it's the first thing that comes up. So on my page, where it has like a little crown and sparkles, and then it shows me as Moana.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sabrina. Kill it.
Thank you. Having fun. We're having fun.
Cool.
Mr. Gomes?
What?
I don't have anything further to add for the moment.
We talked about princess for a while.
I mean, I have a couple more notes, but it seems like we're just going to wrap up. So let's go ahead and just wrap up for the night. And
all right, friends.
I'll see you guys again shortly. I'll put up the next call list ASAP.
Awesome. Sick.
Sounds good.
Right.
Good stuff, y'all.
Guys.
Great to
Have a
see
good
you
night.
Bye.
Farewell.
Always tip your dentist.